Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And in this one, we are going to be looking at the steps that Blizzard is going to be looking to take at a serious issue that is plaguing PvP and has been plaguing PvP from a casual standpoint to a ranked competitive standpoint. We're also going to be covering some news related to the item level changes that are coming forward for your character. They're going to be super important that you know about so that your character doesn't randomly fall behind in power and you start losing out on some massive gains. Now, that main issue that has been plaguing PvP is pre-made groups in Battlegrounds. And I think whether or not this is coming from Battleground Blitz, queue syncing and win trading in rated PvP, or queue syncing in random Battlegrounds and ruining the experience for a solo casual PvP player, that this is a major issue. And it is finally time, I think, that Blizzard is going to be giving word about this, because it's been a huge issue, right? I just went through Reddit and I was looking at a bunch of posts from players. This one in particular stood out. Yesterday, I played 5 Battlegrounds, and 4 of them were against pre-made Russian groups. Why is this still allowed? It's no fun to wait 10 to 15 minutes and getting crushed in a couple of minutes. After the first fight, most of the players quit, and then others have to join a lost BG. It's no fun at all. Rejoined players are angry. Most of them are very good equipped or had even BIS gear. They have a communication and play together, appeal for the healers. Not fair at all because they are PvP players. Sometimes, I don't know about this one, but sometimes I just want to have fun, or when I am tired, it's fun to play a couple of BGs. Let pre-made groups play against other pre-made groups. It's even worse in epic BGs. That's the reason I don't queue epics anymore. I am so done. And as somebody who formerly liked to just spam do random Battlegrounds, that was like my main shtick for probably most of Wrath of the Lich King and TBC. I feel like that's the entry point for most players into PvP. If you're just stepping into the game, you just got 40 decked out, bissed out players that are in Discord together, and they're just bullying all of the random solo Andes that might be trying PvP for the first time or trying to gear up an alt or something like that. It is going to be a horrendous experience, right? It's the equivalent of smurfing in League of Legends, where you deliberately lower your rating to a threshold that you're not supposed to be for your skill so that you can dominate players who are inferior to you in skill to get this type of ego boost, right? That's the main reason people do it, is just this ego boost, this toxic sense of power and dominance over another player. And obviously that's not going to feel good for the player who's being dominated. So this is something that Blizzard has needed to take action on for a while, and maybe it was just that they were gathering their resources. They were trying to figure out what it is exactly that they can do about this, because obviously you can't just queue as a 40-player raid directly in the game for an epic battleground, right? You have to use third-party software, you have to use add-ons, you have to use all these queue syncing methods in order to do it, which leads us to Blizzard's message. Blizzard is releasing an official warning for PvP players that are trying to obtain information about battleground opponents in advance. This is a warning. It was 1 day ago, so when they waved the warning out, if you guys are not ready for this and you're somebody who's abusing this, you might be bye-bye. It might be bye-bye, okay? It might be bye-bye for you, so you definitely want to be careful here. With hotfixes that are now live, Blizzard has announced the implementation of additional measures to prevent players from obtaining information about their potential PvP opponents in advance of a battleground, while also warning against using third-party software in violation with the EULA. While these measures are kept purposefully vague, the intent appears to be safeguarding against programs used to detect pre-made groups and other potentially favorable or unfavorable matchups before starting the game. Blizzard, their official post. With hotfixes that are now live, we have reinforced the measures taken to prevent players from obtaining information about their potential PvP opponents in advance of a battleground. This is applicable to all rated battlegrounds, unrated battlegrounds, rated brawls, and unrated brawls. As a reminder, we regularly take action against accounts using third-party software that is found to be in violation of the Blizzard end user license agreement. So I think that this is good. Giving a warning to people who might just be cute, seeing some battlegrounds, thinking that they're having fun with their buddies. Like, hey, this is, you might be, you gotta cut this out a little bit, okay? Like, queue up for the game as it's intended to, which is, a 5-player stack in an epic battleground. As a pre-made is not going to influence the game as much as a 40-player that's able to coordinate together in a giant wave to prevent and deny certain objectives against 40 random players that are just kind of going all over the place like chickens with their heads cut off. It's not going to be the best experience. So I'm glad that they are finally taking steps on this, because to be honest, I think like one of the main issues with WoW or WoW PvP also, but just WoW in general, is just getting new players into the game and what's the onboarding experience like. This is something that's completely destroying any type of onboarding experience or any type of casual play that could then lead into cultivating players into the more competitive modes of the game. So it's something that needed to have action taken on it, and I'm very happy that Blizzard is now able to do something that's going to likely be a lot more effective given the fact that they've given this official wording for it. But what are your thoughts? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Is totally Blizzard shouldn't be doing this and premades should be allowed to do this, or are you finally happy that this is finally being dealt with? Because obviously, for rank 1 players, they might not even know that this is happening. They don't really care, right? It doesn't really affect their life, but in reality it does, right? Because it comes from the bottom. Now players that might have cultivated into the game, for them to have opponents and lower their queue times, they're just quitting the game. So it does actually affect even the top 1% of PvP players that this issue has been so prevalent, persistent, and ongoing. So I hope that Blizzard can actually do something this. I hope they can lay down the hammer. I hope they can lay down the law, because I think that this has been seriously hamstringing the development of PvP and development of PvP players in general. So I'm really glad that they have something to address it. And now leading into the update, which is the turbo boost. So if you don't know, Blizzard's basically going to be increasing the item levels of all of the gear in the game. If you're someone who's using just full conquest gear, you don't really need to do anything. But a lot of us are not using full conquest gear, right? We've got crafted gear, at least for the pieces that have embellishments, but even some players, you might have a lot of crafted pieces, and that gear is not going to just automatically upgrade, right? So in this patch, they're adding the dinar vendor back, and they've listened to some feedback, iterated on it, so PvE players are a little bit more happy with how they're able to acquire the items from dinars. So this system was honestly a system that I really liked from Dragonflight when I actually tried some PvE in order to get some items for PvP in that final season, because it was actually best in slot, and I actually liked having the vendor and working for a currency and getting towards the item that you wanted. For me, I dislike PvE because it's just random. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to kill a boss in order to get the piece that I finally want so that I can start playing more competitively. That's like the number one thing that I despise about PvE, and that's why I like PvP. Just a deterministic system. I acquire my gear. I'm done. I know I'm gonna work this hard to get to this threshold, and I've got this reward now, and here we go. Now we're off to the races. So that RNG element, this is something that may even possibly intrigue me to try it a little bit. I've been thinking about diving into Mythic Plus at least. Rating, maybe not so much. Not really a big fan of like the massive group organization and scheduling that goes along with that, but if this allows me to get my character like decently geared up or something from delves or some entry level keys, and I can actually go after those best in slot pieces, definitely something that I'm going to be keeping my eye on. But the main goal there is to kind of just turbo boost. It's likely going to change the meta in Mythic Plus and in PvP, right? Because some classes scale up better with stats. I think casters in general that rely on casting when they get more haste, so spells like Cyclone become a lot more powerful, Polymorph, these casters are likely going to get a little bit of a jump, maybe even Shadow Priest or something like that moving forward. So I'm going to be relaying those up to you guys. If you want to make sure you're staying up to date with the meta, then make sure to smash the subscribe button. Again, your support is greatly appreciated. But yeah, this little turbo boost of item level, it's going to be affecting the entire game. They're upgrading all of this stuff, all the item level, all of the drops from everything that's coming forward. But the main thing that I wanted to talk about was the profession update, which is our crafted gear, which is the most important component if you're a main PvP player. Recipes crafted with the Spark of Fortune can now be further recrafted or crafted with an augmentation matrix. This will empower the item up to 6 item levels. These augmentation matrices can be purchased at any enchanting supply vendor, such as Leonde and Dornagal, or Cyanite at the crafting order building in Dornagal. So it looks like we're going to be able to just go to a vendor right away and buy these, and then basically just have to recraft the pieces that we have. But it's just something to know about. So I don't know if this is going to cost a currency or you have to grind something. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's just you log in, there's a vendor, you get it, you click it, you go over, you upgrade it, and then you're just done. But you're going to want to do it because it's 6 item levels on those pieces of gear that you've got crafted. I don't know how that's going to scale with the embellishments, how much better the embellishments might get based on the item level of the piece, but you definitely want to know about that. So this item level turbo burst thing, just wanted to give you a quick update to it, give you some news related to a serious PvP concern, right? Because I've seen a lot of like PvP discussion, right, from a lot of these dev interviews and stuff like that. They've been mentioning increasingly the word PvP every once in a while in some of these interviews. I think it's good that they are now looking at some major issues that hopefully they're going to be able to resolve, because this warning seems to be pretty stern. I'm really hoping they're going to be able to resolve it because I think it is a big problem. And just want to keep you guys up to date with where you need to be moving with your item level for your characters and how you're going to be able to do it so that you're not falling behind anybody else and struggling to understand why you're losing in situations where you were able to win before because that player knew to go get this item and upgrade their gear and you didn't. So now you're in the know, you're in the now, and there's no excuse for it. So thank you guys very much once again for tuning into the video, and I will see you in the next one.